Good afternoon. Welcome back to another episode of the Lord of the Rings LCG Progression Series. Today we're looking at the cards from Assault on Osgiliath, the adventure pack after Encounter at Amondine. And we'll be emphasizing solo play as always. So let's take a look. The hero for this AP is Faramir, 11 threat, 2/2/2, 5 health. Those stats aren't good, so let's see the ability. Ranged. Gets +1 for each enemy in the staging area, so he needs 2 enemies in the staging area to be good. 2 enemies in the staging area, and he needs to be fighting something to be a good hero for the attacking role. He fulfills a role. His role is he's good in a Monosphere lore deck in multiplayer, because multiplayer is the only time you're going to reliably have 2 enemies in the staging area and be attacking. It'll happen in some solo quests, but it'll be rare, especially with his 11 threat. That's on the higher side, so most of the time he's going to be if you got multiple enemies that are going to be engaging, you're not going to have 2 in the staging area and be attacking. I like the card in theory. The picture, the art looks just like I imagined him from the books before I saw the movies. But the card isn't good for solo, and it isn't good because the situation that you need to happen for it to be good, 2 enemies in the staging area, doesn't happen often enough. Now, would he be good for battle questing, where you don't need him to be attacking? You could just have 2 enemies in the staging area and be questing. Man, but you're not going to want to leave enemies in the staging area, because you need to clear out that threat if you're using him for questing, so it's not good in solo. I like the card a bit in multiplayer, though. But the problem is he's going to be blocking anybody who wants to play the core version of Faramir, and the core version of Faramir is really, really, really good. I include it in almost every deck. So that's a major negative for this card. I want to like it, but for solo it's not good, and for multiplayer it's cumbersome due to there being another very good version of Faramir. And also the requirement just isn't going to happen a lot. Is there a typo on the card? 2 periods at the end of staging area? Anyway, I like the idea of a lore hero that can fill the attack role, but he's niche. Unless he has Gondor or Ranger or Noble synergy, he's niche. Sword of Morthond, 1 cost, attached to a Gondor ally. So would Faramir be good with Leadership Boromir? No, because Leadership Boromir only buffs allies. Yeah, we'll see about like Ranger synergy in the future. Yeah, we'll see. We'll keep an eye on him, but I don't think he's good for solo because he's too niche. Sword of Morthond, 1 cost, attached to a Gondor ally, attached ally against the Outlands trait. What Gondor ally would you want to use this on if you were playing an Outlands deck? Problem is, none of the Gondor allies are that good. So there's not like one where you'd be like, oh yeah, that'll fit really well in Outlands. Because the Gondor allies really aren't that good. But should there be a Gondor ally that's good, this would be a good card in an Outlands deck. Men of the West. X cost, return X Outlands allies from your discard pile to your hand. Okay, well, you're not going to be designing a deck that puts a lot of Outlands allies in your discard pile. So this would be a card for if something's gone terribly wrong. If you're expecting things to go terribly wrong, design a better deck. So this is you see a lot of these cards, not a lot, but in a number of adventure packs there's cards for like, just in case something goes terribly wrong. Well, Don't plan on things going terribly wrong. This might have a use against encounters that you can't avoid it, but I don't think I'd play this in an Outlands deck. Knight of Minas Tirith. 3 cost, 0/3/1, 3 health. Well, that's already good. The stats are good. If each of your heroes has a printed... Okay, so it's a Monosphere Tactics card. After Knight enters play, choose an enemy in the staging area, engage that enemy, and exhaust to declare it as an attacker and resolve its attack. Wow, that's a phenomenal card. I'd put it in every Monosphere Tactics deck until the end of time. I might even play this card in not Monosphere Tactics because it's just a 3. If I was running Tactics, I'd probably just play this card even without the ability. 3 cost for 3 attack is great. Yeah, this is a great card. Great Gondor ally. If you were playing an Outlands deck and you had leadership and tactics, I'd run sort of Morthon just for this guy. Making him Outlands would be phenomenal. With his already 3 attack, you could buff him pretty high. Great card. Gondorian Fire. Attached to a Gondor or Dunedain hero, spend 1 resource from attached hero's resource pool to give attached hero +1 attack for each resource in its resource pool. So it's the attacking version of Blood of Numenor. I think it's... I've tried out Blood of Numenor a bit in Siege questing. I didn't find it useful very often. When I did find it useful, it was helpful but not game winning, so I expect that from this card too. Now, attack power is much better than shields. So I think I would include this in a deck where I was running like Boromir. Yeah, I think I would. One thought about Faramir, the hero. Would Great Yew Bow be good on him? Allows you to make an attack against the staging area. He'd be at least 3. He's ranged. That's a possibility. That's an interesting possibility. But if he does require attachments to make him good, that makes him slow, and combos are slow, and slow and solo is bad. However, there's interesting possibilities for Faramir, I'll say. There's interesting possibilities. I'd like to find a way to use him. And as for Gondorian Fire, I think it's good if you're running tactics. Yep, I think it's good. I'd run it in a tactics deck. Knight of Minas Tirith and Gondorian Fire are both good. Pelanteer Shipwright. 3 costs, 0/1/1. Terrible stats. Pelanteer Shipwright gets 1 questing power for each hero you control with a printed spirit resource icon. Okay, great card in Monosphere Spirit deck. 3 cost for 3 questing is great. I'd include it in every Monosphere Spirit deck ever. If you were running 2 spirit heroes, would you play this? Probably not. I think there are Rohan allies that are better in that circumstance. 3 HP has them beat by 1. The Rohan allies are usually 2 HP. So maybe you'd play it in a 2 spirit ally deck. But it's phenomenal in a Monosphere Spirit deck. Map of Iarnil. 4 cost attached to a spirit hero. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Reduce the cost to play map by 1 for each hero you control with... Okay, so it benefits in a Monosphere Spirit deck, but doesn't have to be in one. Discard to play any event card in your discard piles if any spirit event. Okay, so it does the same thing as Dwarven Tomb. Except Dwarven Tomb is better because it can play any spirit card. You still have to pay for the event card? Yeah, as if it were in your hand, so you have to pay for it. Yeah, this is Dwarven Tomb, but worse version. And I don't think you'd run both of those. You'd run Dwarven Tomb over this. This is... I mean, it's not bad, but it's overshadowed. Dwarven Tomb's not unique. Yeah, it's very overshadowed. And I don't think you would run both. Ranger Bow, 1 cost attached to a ranger character, exhaust and attached character to deal 1 damage to an enemy. Wow. Exhausting the character for 1 damage. That's a big, big price. Yikes. I don't think that's good. 1 cost for 1 damage. I guess you can do it repeatedly, but you have to exhaust every time. I don't think that's good. I don't think that's good at all. It's overcosted. It's overcosted even at 1 cost. Because you have to exhaust the attached character. That's a heavy, heavy cost. Not good. Forest Patrol, 1 cost. Play only if you control at least 1 ranger. Deal 3 damage to an enemy with at least 1 trap card attached to it. So you've put a ranger spikes on someone and you still need to damage them? Or is this for one of the other traps? 1 cost for 3 damage is good, but the caveat that you need a trap attached probably makes it redundant, because most of the time if you're playing a trap, you're hoping the trap deals with the enemy itself. And you wouldn't need this. So it's a good effect, but it's redundant. And requires a combo, which makes it niche. Not much else to say about that. Pretty weak lore cards. Pretty strong tactics cards, a decent spirit card. 1 potentially good leadership card, and an interesting hero. Pelanteer, 1 cost, attached to a noble hero. Exhaust Pelanteer, an attached hero. That's a big cost. To name a card type and look at the top 3 cards of the encounter deck. For each of those cards that matches the name type, draw a card. For each of those that does not match, raise your threat by 2. So you can look at the top 3 of the encounter deck at a probable cost of 4 threat, most likely, and you can draw a card. 4 threat is not such a big deal in some decks. Exhausting a hero is a big deal. That's a big cost for that scrying effect. But you do get to look at the top 3 and probably draw 1. I think the effect is too costly for me to run this. To set it up in a way that makes sense with like unexpected courage to mitigate the cost would take too long. It'd be too slow. Very interesting, very thematic card though. But I think it's too slow, too cumbersome, too costly for solo play. Exhausting a hero is a huge cost. Huge, huge cost in solo. So even though it cost 1, it's overcosted for its effect. Compare this to Ranger Bow, though. This is a better effect than Ranger Bow. You have to exhaust the character. I guess it's a character and not a hero, but still. I don't get Ranger Bow. Pelanteer is a thematic card. It's a fun card at the least. But I think it's too costly to play from a practical point of view. I don't value looking at the top of the encounter deck very highly when you can't do anything about the cards there. Drawing a card is cool, but you're not often going to draw 2 or 3, probably 1 usually. It has the potential to be phenomenal, but at a high cost, and it'll be swingy, so I don't think I'd run it. So, Knight of Minas Tirith, Gondorian Fire, great cards. Knight of Minas Tirith in particular, Gondorian Fire less so, but still good. Pelanteer, Shipwright, phenomenal in a Monosphere deck. Faramir, interesting possibilities. Definitely want to make it work. Sword of Morthond as well, in an Outlands deck. So thanks for watching. I'll say before I go, this cycle APs have been pretty weak overall. I've been kind of breezing through the quest without using any of the cards from the APs, much at all, which is a little disappointing. I like APs that give you new possibilities, new ways to play, new strategies. And so far this cycle has not delivered on that. Bit disappointing. Thanks for watching.